Chapter 11, Tricks. It goes without saying that when worse came to worse, the ninja always had a trick or two up his sleeve that would enable him to deceive his enemy. Many of these tricks were used in eluding guards and penetrating enemy strongholds. Since the people in those days were very superstitious, it was only natural that the ninja take advantage of their fears with a trick called Kyonin no Jitsu. For example, it was a popular superstition that the big gate in the Iga Hachiman shrine in what is now Okazaki City, Aichi Prefecture, invariably moved before an accident or disaster occurred. One day the gate moved, causing the people to fear they might be attacked. As a result, they began making hurried preparations for war, bolstering their stocks of weapons and food. It turned out, however, that Ieyasu Tokugawa, shogun at the time, had his Iga ninja under Hanzo Hattori frighten the people into concentrating their efforts on preparedness by secretly slipping inside the big gate and moving it when the area was full of people. Imatori no Jitsu was a trick based symbolically on the old belief that birds don't fly on rainy nights. Okuse tells of how the famous Japanese general and unifier of Japan, Hideyoshi Toyotomi, adopted an idea from this trick when he was still a low-ranked samurai. He bet a friend that he could steal his sword within 10 days. Of course, his friend was on alert all the time. On the seventh night it rained, and he heard the sound of a rubber raincoat flapping softly in the garden like the wings of a bird. Immediately, he smiled to himself as he guessed that Hideyoshi was making an attempt to steal the sword. He opened the sliding door and went outside, but found only a stone lantern covered by a raincoat. Hideyoshi wasn't there. Suddenly aware of the fact that he was being tricked, he rushed back into the house only to find the sword was gone. Hideyoshi had taken advantage of the idea that a raincoat always indicated the presence of a man inside it. On cat's feet. When the ninja attempted to slip near the sleeping enemy and observe his depth of sleep, he sometimes imitated the sound of a cat, rat, or similar small animal in order to cover any noise he might make and put the enemy's subconscious mind at rest with a natural sound. If the ninja were on the point of being discovered by the enemy while sneaking into his stronghold, he sometimes made the sound of a common animal such as a dog, cat, or rat. Or he might suddenly speak out in a loud voice pretending to be one of the enemy. When he was actually discovered, he would pretend to escape by running a few steps in the darkness, but he would suddenly stop and throw some object far off to draw the enemy's attention that way, then silently slip off in another direction. This trick was especially useful when the ninja had still not reached his destination and simply wanted to throw the enemy off his track long enough for him to continue on his way and complete his mission. A trick called Inyu no Jitsu was used to break into a heavily guarded castle, according to Okuse. Making sure that the enemy detected his actions, the ninja would pretend to aim at the back gate. While drawing attention at the rear gate, the ninja really intended to slip through the front gate. A similar trick was to design two simultaneous activities, one a feint or diversion, and the other his real intent. In the event a ninja was captured and tied, he used a trick called Nawanuke no Jitsu, the technique of loosening a knot or escaping from the bonds by dislocating his joints or keeping some tiny object in his hand to cut the cords. Manipulation of the joints was one of the first things a young ninja learned. He was also adept at concealing a small blade or cutting tool in his hand, between his toes and his ear, mouth, etc. Other ninja tricks were concerned with large-scale actions. Chakuzen no Jitsu, for instance, provided that a ninja had himself a loft, ceiling, attic, storeroom, or under a passageway before fighting broke out and waited for the battle to begin, for days at a time, if necessary. hid himself in a loft. Yeah, it didn't make fun. That didn't make sense. Hid himself in a loft. There we go. Whew. He then emerged to create as much upheaval and confusion in the enemy camp as possible. Hoka no Jutsu involved setting fire to structures inside the enemy stronghold when a battle erupted, thus compounding the panic. The ninja's three main tasks at this time were to set fires at many different places in the enemy camp, to spread false rumors, and to try to cause panic among the soldiers, and to open the enemy gates to the Allied army. When a three-man ninja team planned to penetrate or escape from an enemy camp, the top man went first and the number 2 man brought up the rear, all three proceeding at specified intervals, not in a bunch. One of the most common ways to enter the enemy camp was for the ninja to disguise himself as a common foot soldier in the enemy army. Since they all wore the same uniform and there were so many of them, it was difficult to detect a disguised ninja among their midst.